Good morning. I hope we're all okay. And yeah, you're getting on and trying to normalise life at the moment. So welcome back. If you come back, this is the third video looking at Deleuze and Guattari's Thousand Plateaus, and trying to plug it in to what's happening at the moment with the pandemic. Purpose of the video is for me and maybe hopefully for you as well to gain some sort of deeper understanding and elucidation of some very complex ideas as posited within their philosophy, but also to start understanding the pandemic as well, and through sort of plugging in D&G's writing and ideas into what's happening at the moment, trying to come up with a positive sort of vision, a hopeful vision of society when it starts reterritorializing itself, okay, and getting back to a norm. So let's have a little recap of what we've been through so far. Just for the purposes of sort of clarification, is the complex ideas. And I'm still taking myself through them, so try to be as clear as possible. Rhizomatic thought, then. Okay, I think in D&G terms, it's possibly only understood in opposition to tree thinking, right? Arborescent thinking. I'm going to try and sort of give more sort of visual sort of clarification of the ideas that could help us, and maybe more sort of metaphors and allusions that clarify their ideas. So, arborescent thinking first, tree thinking. It's the idea that, give me a second, I'll use my GCSE art skills, sorry, not even GCSE art skills. Mr. Downey didn't let me take GCSE art because he said I was incapable and destructive. Fair enough, Mr. Downey. There we go. Okay. Arborescent thinking, tree thinking. Now you can either look at it like that, or I think for our purposes maybe it's easier to look at that, the top, or it's sort of signifying the sort of the goal, the end point. What they say, what D&G say about arborescent thinking, is that there is this unity, okay, this singular point where either everything is aiming to get to, or from which everything develops. If you think of it in terms, and you probably see a flowchart like this in terms of going to a new company. I'm a teacher myself, and when I went to my new school, I was given something like this, which said, okay, headmaster, head teacher, there, assistant heads, there, middle management, head of department, there, and everybody else, all the hyperloi below. Okay. Now, this didn't she say is sort of a model that a lot of philosophy and culture and science has sort of followed as well, and they say it's followed it quite sort of falsely. It shouldn't exist. This is a structure used by dominant powers to try and control society and nature and thought. Okay, so in terms of philosophy, you could use this in terms of Platonic thoughts. So Plato's, forms, Platonic forms. So Plato's idealized form there, and then shadows of it coming down, a sort of dilution of things. So the further away from an idealized point that something is, the weaker it is, the more diluted it is. This was seen, put that down, you get the idea. This was maybe seen as well within sort of early 20th century, 19th century museums and art galleries, where the idea of European art, of maybe realism at the time, was seen as the either pinnacle or the most sort of developed cultural form at the time. and within the museum, everything else was categorized in relation to its proximity to that singular sort of idealized point. Okay, so therefore there's European realism, but kind of diluted in the undeveloped sort of realms over here is sort of ideas of tribalism, of aboriginal art, of outsider art, of art created by mental patients, of etc. like that. You see the point, okay? They're all weaker forms, weaker ideas of culture, of art. European realism and the canon is the central point, the strongest point. That, well, I suppose that's the idea of it. So, to combat this, D&G came up with the idea of the rhizome, and what the rhizome is, and it's an underground root. Okay, if you look at if you're keen gardeners and you're sort of pulling up weeds or grasses that shouldn't be there, and you think, right, well, it's come up there, let's pull that out, that'll be done with it. Never. When you pull that sort of head, the grass out, what you'll see is a sort of chaotic sort of a network of sort of white roots sort of just spreading itself sort of everywhere and anywhere around the garden, connecting other sort of little bits here and there. So you know the complexity of that subterranean root. Okay. Now that's what D&G say. That's how society works, should work as well. That's how thought works. That's how consciousness works. Certainly in a short-term brain, that's how things work. And this is what we're exploring. So, first two videos, I think we went through the ideas of connection and heterogeneity. Okay, heterogeneity meaning I don't think difference. Okay, everything is different. It's not a singular form. Connection meaning that everything's connected. Okay, everything is connected. So you can go on an interdisciplinary sort of wander from folklore to neuroscience, from neuroscience to chemical engineering, from chemical engineering to French 17th century literature. Everything is surprisingly connected and has, I think, you need all those arms sort of to show the connection that is rampant and rife and unstoppable between ideas and between community groups, okay? Between politics, everything, between nature, everything is natural, is rhizomatic. So that's connection, heterogeneity. The next attribute of the rhizome is the principle of the multiple, or multiplicity. So let's go through this quickly. Principle of multiplicity, excuse me, pardon me, is that there is no singular unifying pivot point between multiple organisms or multiple thoughts. So examples within nature, we have a swarm of bees. A swarm of bees, there is not a singular bee in the middle around which everything revolves. Everything is sort of just taking its own line of flight, spinning around, and through that create a multiplicity that is more than the sum of its parts. It's the same with if you've seen a murmuration of swallows. Okay, very, very complex patterns that again are not just spinning around like a wheel, like a sort of hub of a wheel, not just going around like that, but a fixed point around which everything revolves. It's not like that. It's chaotic lines of flight, surprising lines of flight, different philosophies. So that's a multiplicity. The next principle is asignifying rupture. Okay, Asignifying rupture is very sort of, I think, important maybe in what's happening at the moment. So asignifying rupture, you might sort of understand the word rupture of it's a cut, a stoppage, a force that comes down and stops the line of development of anything. Okay, they give the example of a line of ants, which is the most perfect sort of rhizomatic example. A line of ants sort of trailing, and if you're ever a sort of psychopathic small child and you're squashing ants and you know, all that horrible stuff, or even if you just put your foot in front of them. Let's do a more peaceful version, right? If you put your foot sort of in front of a line of ants, it doesn't stop them. It ruptures them. It stops that continuous line, yes. It doesn't stop them. And this is a principle. They will find other ways round. They will find different routes. They will split. They will deterritorialize and then reterritorialize. If you do the same with water as well, if you sort of find a sort of small stream and you sort of put a blockage in the flow of the water, it's not just going to go, all right, okay, I'm done. It's going to find routes round. Okay, it smooths out. It goes into a smooth plane, which is again what they say about how sort of society, culture forms. So hopefully that, if here's another asignifying rupture. It's a sort of idea. Okay, ideas of connection, heterogeneity, and the multiple within the art world can be seen not in the sort of Greenbergian, also European ideas of how art has developed. A rhizomatic intervention is seen within street art. Okay, you know, it's found in surprising places. You don't have to have, you know, it's not formalized. It just appears. Okay, Banksy is an example of asignifying rupture here. If we look at the sort of flow of street art and the diversity of street art, what the art world has tried to do is to try and recuperate him into an arboreal sense, an arboreal understanding of the world. When he was the painting that was recently tried to be sold at Sotheby's or Christie's, when it was sold, it destroyed itself. It ruptured and it defied that sort of imposition. It found a different route out to be. He found this wonderful way to sort of resist tree thought. Okay, he destroyed his painting, and it, yeah. Hopefully that gives you an idea. Where are we now? Let's sort of. Hopefully that's clear. Another sort of idea of rhizomatic sort of process is the idea of terrorism and the virus as well. So Al Qaeda was thought to be an arborescent structure by the CIA, by global sort of authorities, that they thought, okay, well, if we could pick out the central hub or root of this organisation, Osama bin Laden, if we take him out, well, we're done. Al Qaeda finished off. But it's not, is it? And they certainly learnt that. Anybody can be Al Qaeda. You just have to join up. You just have to make a connection. You just have to. It's the same with some more peaceful groups as well, like or the Occupy groups as well. There's no singular spoke from which hub from which everything else is connected and organised. There are so many multiple connections that it's impossible to fight that flow and that flow. A bit clearer, maybe. Okay, and then finally the last two principles of the rhizome are cartography and decalcomania. Okay, cartography, the process of making maps. Decalcomania, the process of tracing something. Okay. Now the rhizome can't be traced, and if we do it, we're just replicating something that is experiencing the world immediately. Okay, as soon as you trace something, you're just taking an image of something, and it sort of stops. Rhizome. Cartography, however, is an interesting thing, and if I get this right, we jump. Where do you start in reading a map? You're looking at a map. Do you start from left, go up like that? Do you start there, or you look at it and you sort of dive into it? You experience the sort of physicality of the map immediately, just as we experience space and everything else. We have to sort of. There's no starting point, is there? It's what they say, intermezzo. Okay, it's right in the middle of things. And middle doesn't mean mean. It doesn't mean average, because there are a huge amount of sort of velocities and happenings within that middle. But it's the idea that we just throw ourselves into it, that we're just in the middle of it. There is no starting point at the bottom. In calculated steps to rise to the top, it is everywhere and always in the middle, always becoming. So, finish off, because this is going on for a bit, I'm sorry. Do please stop me whenever. How to sort of put this towards the pandemic and the virus at the moment. Okay, the virus is an asignifying rupture, but the virus is also a rhizome. It is connected. We are spreading it between people. That is increasing exponentially. So to other people, we are touching things. The virus is there. The virus is here. It's spreading. So we can't expect a singular thing, even a vaccine, the singular thing to stop and to halt the progress of this virus. It is going to be spreading. And we've got nothing. We just can't stop it. So we can understand it. And what does society sort of look like after this rupture? Because it will develop. Society will be deterritorialized by this virus, and then will be reterritorialized afterwards. It will come to another norm, another rhythm, another understanding. So is that the hope? I mean, this isn't the apocalypse, basically, is it? It's the culture and humanity generally will continue. There's a hope for it. It will reconstitute itself, re-territorialise itself, smooth itself out into the plains. I think I will stop it there, because I'm going to get lost a little bit. But I hope there's some thoughts there maybe to consider, and if you want to sort of have a chat about it and add your own thoughts, then please do, because this is, well, it's a project, isn't it? If I'm just a singular person sort of spewing this, then where does it go? So can we discuss, does it create rhizomatic structures from itself? Thank you very much. Bye.